Okay, you've got customers, they're happy. That's incredible. But how do you harness that excitement into a testimonial that you can use to grow your business? That's what we're covering in today's episode of the Big Bad Marketing Podcast. I'm Janae.
And I'm Brooke. We are coaches, marketers, and business owners who help solopreneurs and side hustlers grow real businesses with less than $500 a month for marketing.
You'll get strategy, mindset shifts, and actionable tips to build a bigger, badder business without burnout. Ready to get started?
Let's
Let's do
do
this.
this. All right, testimonials, a powerful marketing tool. And while 76.3% of statistics are completely made up on the spot, there are actually a lot of sources that say that over 90% of consumers review testimonials for a product or service before they make a purchase. And that number tends to be highest when it is a sizable investment. And based on my personal experience, I 1,000% agree with that. I am incredibly likely to check reviews and testimonials before I hit the buy button. How about you?
Okay, wait. Is 1,000% a statistic that you just made up on the spot?
It is
Yeah, of course.
1,003%.
Yeah, like totally look up the reviews on products when I'm about to buy them or when I'm making the decision to buy it and looking at other products in a similar field, trying to be like, hey, do I want this one or do I want that one? And the same for services as well, if I'm about to invest. And if the platform doesn't offer reviews, I just Google it and look up reviews for XYZ, whatever it is, like a Trust Pilot tool or a Yelp or kind of another platform where there are going to be reviews on this product and you can get a sense of like, do other humans like this?
Yeah, totally fair. And I think that's ultimately what we're trying to figure out is have other people used this product or service and did they like it enough to want to recommend it? And important distinction, disclaimer right here. We have another episode that we'll link in the show notes that's all about your digital reputation. And there we talk about reviews, how to manage negative reviews that come in for your business, and strategies and tactics for getting reviews. In this episode, we are talking about testimonials. So these are similar to a review, but they belong to you. They are sourced and used by you on your particular website. And these are what's, what's happening?
Oh, the robo vacuum was like, today I'm going to turn on after it's been sleeping for 3 days.
Janae just hops up from her chair and runs over to the door. And I'm like, okay, bye. I'll just be here.
You got this, right?
See ya. Um, but yeah, so reviews go on third-party sites like Yelp or Google. Testimonials are yours. They're going to live on your website, in your marketing efforts. And we're going to cover a lot of places today where you can use testimonials, how to ask for them, and how to capture a great testimonial.
So yeah, the testimonials in this case are a form of social proof. So that element where you're like, other humans, what do you have to say about this? But I'm just me in my house. So like, I don't know all the people who have ever used this product or service that I'm considering. Um, and so they all fall into this bucket of social proof, right? Like you have, like you mentioned, Brooke, reviews. And I think that's actually more of what I was talking about when I said I'm reading reviews. Like, yeah, I'm looking up the reviews, but testimonials being like a much more tailored and targeted angle of social proof. And in that same bucket, you have things like a case study or an in depth white paper where someone is outlining either the complete experience that the client had when using their product. So that's like the business itself is drafting out a form to say, hey, we met this client at this point, and here's this whole story of all the things we did together to get them to this point. And I like to think of a testimonial as like a much smaller, tiny, um, pretty package of all the things that go into the case study or the white page in a little nice package where they're like, they did a great job. I loved this specific detail about what they did. You should totally hire them.
Yes. And everything you said makes it fairly evident that you're more likely to see testimonials if you're in a service-based business. Generally, product-based businesses, user reviews are the lay of the land, and you're rarely going to need a testimonial. You can probably get all the content you need from reviews. But for a service based business, these testimonials are so valuable, and you can get written testimonials. Very popular right now is video testimonials. And Janae, one of the hardest things for small business owners is to ask for the testimonial. So, what can we offer in terms of
Ooh.
tips and tricks to make it less awkward when you're going to a client and being like, hey, I think you're happy with me. Can you please maybe just like write me a little thing?
Yeah. I want to acknowledge this thing that comes up surrounding asking for testimonials. It also, I think we mentioned this in our episode on referrals, asking for referrals. That same awkward energy comes up for me when asking for referrals. And in selling, in sales in general, I have this really cringy feeling surrounding it. Not because I don't think what we offered and how we service people is cringy, but because I have like built in this really uncomfortable feeling of people trying to sell me stuff in a way that's pushy and it just doesn't feel good. And I'm thinking of like a booth in the mall where they're like, come smell this perfume. And then they rope you in. They're like, your hair is so beautiful. And whatever it is, so that you buy their weird lotions and stuff. And then you leave the mall and you're like, that was so bad. I shouldn't have bought that thing. I didn't want to buy that thing. I didn't have the ability to say no, or I didn't feel good about like, so go
That sounds
listen
like
to
a
our,
really bad experience.
yeah. And I have so much of that in me, like going into stores, high pressure sales. I don't know
Oh,
what, I just have
yeah. Ick.
weird
Gives you
vibes
the
surrounding
ick.
that stuff. Yeah, it gives the ick. And so these places, so that asking for testimonials and asking for referrals, and I think later, like a deeper iteration of that, sales don't have to come from that awkward, pushy, convincing place. They can come from a place of service, of acknowledging like how valuable, how much value you can bring to other people, and that you know someone's been really satisfied with the way you have been able to serve them. And so the ask is like, I would love the opportunity to continue to serve other people in the same capacity that I have with you. And what's going to really let me and allow me to do that and like shine in the internet world, anyways, is being able to show other people who have felt really served, really well served by my service.
Yes, I love that because that coming from a place of service and simply wanting to spread the word about the great thing that you do, honestly, a lot of happy customers are going to be thrilled to be able to help you with that. So that is a great way to make the ask feel extremely natural as well. So Janae, when from a timing perspective is the best time to ask for a testimonial?
A really good time to ask for a testimonial or for anything from anyone is when they're happy. When, especially in this case, when you have made them happy and see the value of what you're doing. So you've gotten them a win, or there's been a big win in your collaborative partnership, whatever you do for them. Let that settle for a day. And then that's a great time to follow up with an email like, hey, Joe, I would love if you would be willing to write a testimonial for my site. I know we've been able to work together and have had some wins together. And I'd love to be able to showcase that same thing for future clients so that they know the quality of the service they're getting.
Yeah, I love that. Right after a win is such great advice. And you'll know,
It feels
you'll,
obvious to say that, but
yeah, but no,
don't
I
ask
think,
when you just did something terrible and it didn't
yeah.
work and it blew up. Not a good moment.
Yeah, no, that's important though. And I mean, say you're on a 3-month contract with a client and you're coming up at the end of 3 months and you're sort of like, oh, yikes, we really haven't had that many wins. The client hasn't really been super responsive. Maybe forgo asking for the testimonial in
Mm-hmm.
that case. That you do not need to get a testimonial from every single client, but A good way to think about it is getting a testimonial from a subset of clients who meet your ideal user personas. So,
Ooh.
if you are in a service business that targets primarily female entrepreneurs between, 30 and 50 who are kind of in that midlife, I'm not really sure what's going on. Make sure that you have a representative example in your testimonials
Mm-hmm.
of a woman who meets that criteria so that your ideal audience can see themselves in that testimonial and know that you were able to help them.
I like that a lot. And I feel that when I'm looking at services online, I look for, are there other people, even subconsciously, does anyone here resemble me at all? Like, is there anything here, whether that's based on the demographics or the psychographics in there, even if they're just articulating like the way they were feeling when they started this service and then the way they were feeling now. And I can relate to that. But I was going to say, Brooke, is maybe the key here is, tell me what you think about this. You don't have to publish every testimonial you get, but I would say it's a good idea probably to ask like most clients, unless you're sure that this thing went south and it did not work well and they're very unhappy, like ask for the testimonial, because you may be pleasantly surprised by the kind words or the really valuable points they make in there that can help drive a customer to make a decision to work with you.
I love that.
Yay, nay.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. And I think you can then at that point afford to be a little choosy and say, well, I have these 10 testimonials. I really only want to showcase three. And these are the top three. So it
Yes.
allows you the power of choice and if people are left to their own devices for a testimonial, it can kind of result in them broadly talking about things they liked or didn't like, and it might not be specific enough to bring value to your ideal audience, which is why we highly recommend when you ask someone for a testimonial that you sort of prompt them. And that can be one of the best ways to make sure that the testimonial is valuable for you and that they also don't feel like I'm staring at a blank page and I don't really know where to go from here. So there
Sure.
are certain components of a testimonial that we always want to be sure we're addressing. So what are those components?
Okay. So it's a good idea to get a really high level sense of what your company does and its purpose. So if you're able to get them to articulate real simple and clear what it is you do and how you solve their problem, this is a great place to start.
It could have
And
been
then,
like, so as an example,
please.
like I found Big Bad Marketing because I was completely overwhelmed by my marketing and I knew that they offered consulting services for entrepreneurs like me making less than $100,000 a year.
Right, exactly.
Bam.
So outlining the problem that they have, like if that first sentence can be both a highlight of what your company does and how you are helping them while weaving in their problem and the reason that they needed to find your service in the first place. That's that thing we're talking about of like the psychographics of like where were you energetically in this moment in time. I'm being like facetious here, but like where, more realistic way, like literally what was your ongoing experience, what problem were you facing in that moment with your business or yourself, whatever it is that you do, B2B, B2C. And that helps people match themselves, like we just said. Like I'm like, is there anyone like me on this testimonials list? Like that helps people qualify themselves of like, yeah, look, here's another person exactly like me who is in the exact same kind of problem. Yes.
Yeah. And similarly, if I go through the testimonials and they are all very clearly talking to a particular person or about a particular problem, and that's one that I don't have, then that also qualifies me in the other way in that I recognize
Disqualify.
that your business, yeah, it disqualifies me, right? Which is just as powerful. So your testimonials can help qualify the right types of leads for your business and disqualify the people who really are not going to be well served by that thing that you do.
Sure. This is bringing up a thought of like a lot of entrepreneurs say, from my own experience, from our experience in running this business, and from what I hear in the internet at large, like we don't want to leave money on the table. So we avoid excluding any particular customer base, any particular demographic, any projects and services that really aren't the main thing of what we do. But the key to finding success in your lane and in your channel of light, like whatever it is that you bring forth in a really good way through your business, is being able to, it's quote unquote like leave the money on the table by just really doubling down on the thing that you do best, which means letting people know if they're the right fit or they're not. And that's okay, because the more people that you have that are the right fit, the more business you have, the more money you actually do have. My friend once likened it to like in a job search of like having it casting a wide net or having like the hook with the right bait on it and going to the right, we've talked about this before too on an episode, like if you go to the right spot with the right bait and the right hook, you're going to catch the fish that you want, versus if you throw a big net out there, you're going to get all kinds of things in there, even like an old boot, which you probably don't want. So this is your chance, Brooke, to your point of like really showing people who it is that you're looking for and how you can help them solve their problems, which is why you must ask them to explain what the solution was in the testimonial very briefly, but get it in there so that other people can be like, yes, that is the solution I need.
Yep. And then alongside that solution, some of the positive impacts that someone has experienced as a result of that solution. And then finally, ask them to give an outright clear recommendation for your brand. That is the point of the testimonial, is somebody saying, I believe in this business and you should too. So make sure that they include that in there.
Okay, can you give us like a real quick example? This is so off the cuff, so no pressure, but of uh how that would sound if it was for our business.
I'm just flashing back to my off the cuff example with the landscaping business. Well, you have sandy grass and you. Okay, I don't even remember what
This is
episode
why
that
we
was
do
in.
improv.
This is, yeah, I told Janae I want to do an improv class and maybe this will help me with this in the future. But okay, so here's what a great testimonial might sound like. We're going to do it for a dog pet washing company. So I came across Janae's Pet Washing Emporium and saw that they give baths for large dogs. My dog was so stinky and she's so big that I really thought that at 150 pounds, how was I ever going to find
Mm.
a place to wash her? But she just smells so bad and her nails needed done and just the combination of things. And when I went to Janae's Pet Washing Emporium, they made me feel so welcome. My dog was happy. They didn't have to sedate her because they were so good with her. They did her nails, they gave her a bath. And now I can't even smell her, even when she's sitting right next to me. So if you have a smelly or large dog, you should go to Janae's Pet Washing Emporium. How was that?
That was amazing. And I didn't even know I had that business. So, and it has such a ring to it. I'm like, maybe I should
Yeah,
open that business.
keep the main thing the main thing.
Yes. Well, yeah. Okay. I'll table that for later.
All right, so that is a just a sample of what a testimonial might sound like. It addresses what your business does, it addresses the problem, the solution, and then gives a clear recommendation. So obviously, the ones for your business are going to be a little more seamless and sound a little bit better. But if you're enjoying learning about these best practices for testimonials, or you're struggling to get testimonials that actually help you sell, you'll love our monthly newsletter. It is jam-packed with actionable tips to improve your marketing on a small business budget. And you can sign up for free by going to bigbadmarketing.com/newsletter. And when you do, we'll send you our comprehensive list of marketing levers you can pull to promote your small business for free. So
So free.
for free. So sign up today, bigbadmarketing.com/newsletter. Back to the show.
Yee. Okay, let's talk best practices for testimonials, because we've seen some really funny situations where people are like, yes, I have a testimonials page. Of course I do. And then they show us, and it's like one long, giant blog from one person who used the product and told this very detailed story about their experience. Or another favorite I have is like awkward video style interview conversation, kind of like a podcast format. And it's just 20 minutes. And like, if someone is going to get any value from it, they have to watch the whole thing and distill the value. And the whole point of a testimonial is like, we're going to distill all the information you need into like 6 seconds, excuse me, 6 sentences, so that you as a potential lead, as a potential customer, you know, this is the thing for you. So let's drop some best practices so people can keep that in mind as they go get the best testimonials in the world.
Love it. So, number one, keep it concise. So, Janae, like you just mentioned, aim for 60 to 90 seconds for video or a few short sentences if written. Less is more. And if you are doing video testimonials, let them record it on their own. We have seen testimonial situations where somebody is kind of interview style, tossing questions back and forth, but it doesn't always necessarily play well and it sort of can seem forced and unnatural,
Inauthentic.
inauthentic. So, how
It feels
would
salesy and
you,
pushy and cringe.
yeah. So, how would you then encourage authenticity?
Yeah, you want to go at this really naturally. So I think, Brooke, you're nailing it with like, let them record it on their own, let them write it on their own. You can give them some basic prompts of what you're hoping to get from it or what you would love to be included, but mostly you just want them to do their thing. Um, and ideally, it's unscripted, which is going to help create that trustworthy sense, that which is the opposite. And that's the maybe, oh, now it's all connecting in my head. That's why I don't feel good about those salespeople pushing stuff on me, because I'm like, I know that they ordered this from, you know, a sweatshop somewhere and it cost them 6 cents and they want to sell it to me for $60. And they're just trying to look after their own bottom lines. And they're like, you need this, you're going to benefit. Like, it feels so false and I can't trust it. And that's not what you want from the testimonial. You want the opposite. You want people to feel like, wow, this feedback I trust, but also it builds trust for me with the supplier, with your business, just because they read someone else being really honest.
Yeah. An important distinction here is authenticity does not mean false positivity. So it doesn't mean that somebody shouldn't be honest about their experience with you. And sometimes I actually think that it can be helpful to hear someone's reservations. Like maybe someone said, you know what? When I first started talking to Big Bad Marketing, I was a little bit concerned about the price. But you know what? It turned out to be more valuable. Like I would pay 10 times over for the information that I got. So it's
And
like
the
and the
ROI.
ROI, duh. But it's like you can allow people to give a really honest look without them having to just be positive, positive, positive all the time if they in fact had an experience that was sort of turned positive in time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so another best practice, we mentioned this, but is to give a pretty specific structure. It can be simple, but give them a sense of what you want. We like to go with a story flow. So, problem, solution, outcomes. So that looks like they tell what their problem was, they tell what we did, and then they tell what changed. Really simple, but it covers all those bases. And if you need an example, go ahead and rewind and listen to Brooke's off the cuff example testimonial of my pet washing emporium.
All right. So make it easy for them. Give clear instructions or examples, provide the easiest way for them to deliver this thing and answer any question that they might have. So, in the blog post for this episode, we're going to share a testimonials best practices PDF that can just show you all of this. And you could even share that with potential prospects who are about to give you a testimonial. Um,
Mm-hmm.
be sure that you get in multiple formats if you can. If someone is willing to do a video testimonial, you could always kind of tease out on your own into a written testimonial. If someone is only willing to do a written testimonial, that's That's totally fine. And if you don't get what you want from it, or if they're not willing to do it, you can always DIY and have them sign off. So this happened with a client
You
of
can also
ours.
fire them as a client.
You can do that. But this
Don't do
happened with
that.
a client of ours who we asked for a testimonial because we had just had a really great experience with her. And she was like, "Yes, but I'm so incredibly busy. I'll get this back to you." So then after about a month, we said, "You know what? Are you comfortable with us writing the testimonial based on your experience and getting your sign off?" And she said yes. So that is a fine way to go about it if you have extenuating circumstances where someone does want to help you, but they're just lacking in time or capacity to do so.
Hmm. Okay, so let's assume you've got testimonials. How can you leverage them? Like, where should you use them? When should you use them? Where do you put them?
Yeah, so these are a great tool to put on your website. So on some websites, you will see a dedicated page for testimonials, or you can put them on specific service pages for particular things you do. Like, say you are a graphic designer and you do websites and you also do logos and branding. You can have a logo specific testimonial on your logo page and then, another on your website design page. You can also use them for marketing on social media. We've seen brands put static images of their testimonials or even use them to create ads. So
Hmm.
that's another possibility. You could also add them to your email marketing. So if you are sending a promotion for a particular product or service, you can include specific testimonials from real people to say how much they love the thing.
They loved the thing so much.
Yes, and that's exactly what you're trying to convey. So,
It's
Janae, how do these testimonials fit into the customer journey?
Yeah. So I think that's the other important part of this is like applying and putting this kind of content forward, the testimonial content forward in the right moments so that they have a useful impact for the customer depending on where they are. So customers come through a journey, right? They find out that you exist as a brand, then they start to consider you and then they're going to make a decision and then they're going to make a purchase. Maybe that's the same one, but so in this case, you want to align and make sure the testimonials show up at the right moment, the right kinds of testimonials, let's say, show up at the right moment. So early on, the customer's just getting to know you, they're at the top of your funnel. That's a great time for a testimonial that's going to help build credibility for you and spark interest in the customer. And these would go on like your website homepage, a landing page, or a lead magnet. Even social can be a good place for that. And then as they're moving through, they're considering you, they're considering maybe some other brands too. This is when they're in the middle of your funnel. This is a great time to have testimonials on service pages or product pages, in emails, and on your sales pages so that as they're interacting with your brand and trying to decide, they can really see that value being driven home through the testimonials and the honest feedback of other people. And then you have a decision. They've come to the bottom of your funnel. They're pretty sure they're going to go with you, or they already like are in the process. This is an awesome place to just really drive it home and reinforce it with testimonials on your purchase pages, in your cart or shop page, or even in a proposal. It's a great chance to just show what has happened for other people and make them feel even more confident and sure of going with you. And for a little extra magic, you can do it on the delight stage or the loyalty stage after they've already made a purchase. So they've gone through the funnel, they're on the other side, they're working with you. And you can still throw in a testimonial on like a thank you email or your onboarding documents or pages. Any way that you're going to interact with them at this point, just that next step after they've signed up is a great time to reinforce how good everything is going to go with a great testimonial.
Amazing. And don't forget to always, always get explicit approval and sign off from your clients before you put a testimonial anywhere. So, whether that's on your website, social media, and a physical advertisement, always get sign off. Better yet, if you can get to agree to use their name, and it can be like first name and first initial of a last name. If you can use a photo of them, this is just going to add a little more credibility to you when people can see and recognize, oh, this is a real person. I don't think they made this up because I can, validate that Laura Joe owns XYZ business because I can go to her website and see it. So Anyway, that is testimonials in a nutshell. And if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts so you do not miss a thing.
Follow us. Big Bad Marketing.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.